Welcome to Denver Theory Lab.
Denver Theory Lab? Okay.
Denver Theory Lab. Let's do it.
Welcome to Denver Theory Lab. I'm Jesse,
And I'm Kyle.
where we aim to investigate and explore theoretical and practical ideas, conspiracies, events, and practices from an objective point of view to expand our range of thinking. You can make donations to Denver Theory Lab on PayPal at Denver Theory Lab. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or topic suggestions. So, Kyle, we've got some pretty interesting topic today with 3I Atlas, the supposed comet that is
Heading our way.
And there's a lot of theories about it not being a comet, which I kind of want to lean towards. I kind of hope for. I think we need a shift in all of the energy that's going on Earth right now. But so what? The name comes from 3I, meaning the third interstellar object to enter our solar system that we know of.
Right. Yeah, it's the third confirmed interstellar object to enter our solar system after Umamu or Umama, however you say it, and 2I Borisov. Yeah. So, and it follows a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it's just passing through and not orbiting our sun, according to their projections, just shooting through our solar system. But it's supposed to reach its closest to Earth. Is it 2 weeks from now?
I believe December 19th is
December 19th.
the projected date. Now, I remember when it was first discovered, long outside of our solar system, that it was projected to be here around December 15th or 16th. And I think that they did say at some point that it slowed down, which most interstellar objects don't necessarily do.
And it slowed down as it was approaching the sun.
As it was approaching a highly gravitational object in our universe, which is part of our argument today. But so that's why I think it's the date has changed, or I remember that the date has changed. I did some research. I know you did some research. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess we should start with what behavior or what has been observed about 3I Atlas that makes people think that it is anything other than a comet or anything other than just a rock in space. And one of the part you just mentioned, I think that was one of the biggest ones I had heard of. As it was approaching the sun, it seemed to be letting off some sort of emissions and slowing itself down as it was approaching the sun. But I believe there's been a few other things that it's done that have made people think that a big part being the emissions and how it's done its emissions, but I'm not really sure of how they've explained that.
I think I have a little bit of that.
Because I know the behavior of this 3I Atlas has been so strange, or its appearance has been so strange as to lead, many scholars, including Harvard scientists, to say that it could be an alien probe sent to check us out before sending others. I've heard some people say it could be an alien mothership on its way,
Yeah, they were saying that some of it fragmented at some point, and that maybe it was a bunch of smaller ships being released from the mothership, or there's. What I have here is I did some research with my AI, and it gives you the initial disclaimer of this is what I'm supposed to say, and these are all the facts, and it's definitely a comet. But once you get past the initial bullshit, you can dig a little deeper and say, okay, well, let's talk about what if it wasn't. The facts, though, according to the scientific research that we know of, And I'm not entirely sure that they're releasing all of the scientific information, because NASA released some pictures that were very poor quality,
Yeah.
I would say. And, they've got access to telescopes like James Webb that takes pictures of universes millions and millions of miles away, and it can't take a picture of something within our solar system that is clear and pristine. No, it looked like it was put together on an Atari.
We get blurry pictures of lights,
Yeah, blurry pictures of lights. It could have been a street light down the street that they took a picture of.
Could have been anything. There was water on my phone camera.
When they smudged the lens. And, that's what it is right there.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that NASA has released all of the information. Maybe it's for our benefit. Maybe it's to keep us from panicking. Maybe it's nefarious. I don't know. But the facts that we came up with was it was discovered December 19th of 2019 by the Atlas survey in Hawaii. The initial promise was it brightened at an extraordinarily rapid rate early in 2020. In March, some projections suggested it could become as bright as Venus. By May, potentially visible in daylight, this fueled massive public excitement. Orbital kinship, its orbit indeed very similar to the Great Comet of 1844. Both are believed to be fragmented of a much larger comet that broke apart centuries ago. This made Atlas a fragment of a previous visitor. And I found some supposed scientific evidence that would suggest that there's another comet on its way in that same path, which means that they're both daughters of a greater father comet. In early April 2020, instead of continuing to brighten, Atlas abruptly began to fade. Follow-up observations revealed the cause was it was disintegrating. Hubble Space Telescope captured clear images of the comet nucleus splitting into dozens of fragments. At least 30 major pieces were seen in April. They claim the cause of the breakup. Comets are fragile, dirty snowballs. As Atlas approached the sun's solar heating caused ices, water, carbon dioxide, cyanide to sublimate, meaning that it goes directly from a solid to a gas, creating pressure and spin. The fragile nucleus, likely fractured from its previous breakup event centuries ago, couldn't hold it together. And then the fragments continued its orbit, etc., etc. So some of the discrepancies I've found is like it rotates entirely faster than what they projected it was supposed to, that it changes its course. It did a course correction at some point. It slowed down. The gas makeup is entirely different than what they expected. Like it says it's high cyanogen gas and diatomic carbon. Showed its strong emissions from these molecules, which are common in comets and responsible for green glow and cometary comas. This indicated a volatile-rich composition, surprising drop in carbon monoxide. Later measurements showed a much lower than expected production rate of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide compared to water, H2O. This was unusual and suggested its interior composition was different from its surface, or that it had already lost these more volatile ices from the outer layers earlier in its orbit.
And in some of those articles, when they were pointing stuff out like that, from my interpretation of what they were alluding to, is that they were suggesting that it might not be a comet at all. It might be a ship, alien technology meant to disguise itself as a comet, and that these are the emissions of a machine instead of a traditional comet like we would see.
Yeah, I think that's entirely the argument nowadays. Is it disguised as a comet? Some more facts that I found: Hubble Space Telescope images on April 20 of 2020 provided a forensic sequence. They showed the nucleus had broken into about 30 fragments, and then those fragments themselves began to further disintegrate and fade within days. There's a barbell now. Supposedly it's got a double nucleus, two connected nuclei,
Spinning around each other?
Before completely shattering, it went through a brief period where it looked like a double nucleus or a barbell, a clear sign of a major crack in an initial split. And then it goes into orbital details and sibling relationship. More so, its orbit wasn't just similar to the Great Comet of 1844, it was nearly identical. This provided strong strong dynamical evidence that they are siblings from a single larger comet that fragmented likely 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. Another sibling comet, C 2019 YI Atlas, discovered by the same survey just weeks earlier, also shares this orbit, confirming the existence of a whole comet family. So there's another comet that they haven't even talked about.
And that probably has the same origin as this one, somewhere outside of our solar system, where they must have a very unique, different, if it's natural, then wherever it came from has a very different chemistry than the things we see in our space.
Right.
So, I know one of the main guys who I've heard make the claim that one of the main scholars and on the world scene who I've heard make the case that this could be an alien probe is, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, Avi Loeb, who is a Harvard physicist and astronomer. And he's made the case that 3I Atlas could be sent here by an advanced civilization to monitor us. And, if there was some advanced civilization out there trying to monitor a technological, but maybe less advanced than them, civilization like us, where we're already in space. I play a game called Stellaris, where you run a space empire. It's really fun. It's a computer game. But when the game starts off, you are a civilization that has just achieved planetary unity, and you just got the technology to leave your solar system and colonize other solar systems. And in game, when once you've played for a while, your empire or your nation controls multiple solar systems. When you encounter a civilization that is able to go into space but not able to leave their solar system and build and colonize outside of there, they count them as almost like a pre-space flight civilization. You got the basics of getting into space, but you don't have the understanding
but you
of how
want to find out exactly how close they are to achieving that.
Yeah, and well, in game, the minute a civilization reaches that point, you pay more attention to them. Like when you're running your space empire, you care about your other neighbors who are at technological parity with you. The civilizations that are in the Stone Age, Iron Age, are far, far away from ever being able to go into space. You pretty much they're a science project, they're a research project for you to observe and learn. But the ones on the verge of enters solar system travel, that's somebody to watch because they are a potential threat. And I would say any civilization that is spread to multiple solar systems in our neighborhood of the galaxy, I think it would only be natural to view humanity as a potential threat.
Yeah.
Given how we treat each other.
I want to read through some of the potential conspiracies. It's a spaceship or alien probe. We kind of covered that a little bit already. I guess the Atlas name is interpreted not as the survey telescope that discovered it. Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System is what Atlas actually stands for. But as a mystical titan or even an acronym for something like Alien Technology Life Arrival System. The fragmentation behavior is argued that it's disassembling. Orbital peculiarity is similar to the Great Comet 1844, leading to speculation. It's planet Nibiru or Planet X, a perennial favorite in doomsday circles. The theory claimed Atlas was a harbinger, or was Nibiru itself a rogue planet on a collision course with Earth, and its breakup was a cover story to hide the truth. The NASA cover-up theories suggest that it's a weapon or secret technology test. It's either a genuine threat, an asteroid that authorities were downplaying by calling it a comet. Is connected to the COVID-19 pandemic as dual cosmic disaster. I'm not sure about that a whole lot. Blue Beam Project deception. Within the most fringe circles, the comet's breakup and disappearance were suggested to be holographic or narrative event, part of a larger conspiracy to simulate an alien threat for global manipulation, a concept from the Project Blue Beam hoax, which I think we've briefly talked about that in passing, that it could be a complete hoax.
Yeah.
And they're hoping to create one world government out of the aftermath of possible alien invasion or some other political agenda.
On faking an alien threat, But we were kind of talking briefly before we started recording of if this is alien technology, it would seem that the point is to be noticed, because everything we see about the UFOs or UAPs, whatever we want to call them, here on Earth, we see that they travel at speeds that we can't match. They travel at speeds that make it so it's even hard for us to even capture them. Our radar can't capture them. They're here 1 second, gone the next. So, the question that goes in my mind is, well, why wouldn't this ship be able to travel like that? Why would it need to travel so slowly that we're watching it for months? And if it is an alien ship, I think the only answer can be that the point is to be seen.
Well, maybe they can't make an object that large move that quickly.
Maybe, but I mean, some of the UFO reports of the ships they've seen here on Earth, they say that, or the people who claim to have gone inside of some of them or have been abducted, they'll claim that the ship looks to be one size, rather small, when they're outside of it, but when they are inside of it, it's gargantuan, like the size of a football field. And I think back to, I recently watched that Age of Disclosure new documentary they have, and one of the things they talked about on there is how they talked about the method in which it's commonly understood that these ships are moving, and in which they're not actually exerting any thrust or anything like that, which is why the beings inside of them don't have to deal with the negative effects of the force, because if you put a human inside our fastest jet, that's a lot of force exerted on them, and they feel it when they get out of there. So one of the questions people have had forever is, how could any biological being inside those vehicles withstand the force of their fast movement? And the answer that I've seen that makes the most sense to me is that they're not actually moving, they're moving space-time around them. And if you're moving space-time around you, then you can really disguise how big or small something is.
Yeah. So I just looked up to see how large 3I Atlas actually is, and it is about 1,444 feet long and 3.5 miles wide, which is a pretty large object.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say. Yeah, that would be huge to see actually over our skies. One interesting thing I saw about it is that it seems to have what Avi Loeb described as heartbeat-like pulses. So the pulses of the emissions coming from 3I Atlas, it's timed like a drum beat. There's a rhythm to it. It's not erratic, like if it was just
consistent airflow or erratic airflow, or a balloon that you would release into the room
every like set amount of time, though. Like there, you can measure the time in between it. It's releasing its emissions every. I want to say it's at like 16 hours and 16 minutes.
The fact that it's consistent pulse is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Avi Loeb used that to say it further suggests some sort of internal engine where they're correcting course or that sort of thing with these periodic pulses.
Yeah. Does it say the frequency of the pulses?
Let's see. Let's ask our all-knowing AI oracle with the disclaimer that ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. So here's what we know so far about these periodic pulses, this heartbeat-like signal that Avi Loeb has highlighted. So he claimed that 3I Atlas is exhibiting these regular periodic light pulse within a period of 16 hours and 16 minutes. So that was the New York Post did an article talking about that. And the hypothesis is that rather than a simple, steady glow expected from a regular comet, 3I Atlas seems to brighten and then dim in a very or fairly regular pattern, akin to or similar to a heartbeat. But that's not implying that it is one big alive organism, more so implying that there's a mechanism functioning inside of it with this regular release or regular exhaust. So, but Avi Loeb has his hypothesis is that this is a probe, more than likely, an alien probe, unmanned, sent to monitor us or get some information. And in that hypothesis, this periodic pulse would be the jets or thruster firing to do periodic adjustments or, moving it forward while trying to keep it disguised as a comet. So, I do find it very interesting, though, that in a lot of historical big events, big pivotal moments, they involve a comet. There were the New Madrid earthquakes in the 1800s, where we talked about in previous episodes, where the Mississippi River ran backwards for hours, and numerous other events. We've seen it in plenty of Hollywood movies where a comet is an omen, either of good or bad, throughout human history. And maybe that's part of the fascination behind it. Personally, I lean toward as much as I would love for it to be aliens here and showing themselves in a way to say that your governments can't keep hiding at this and they've got to, they've got to tell you something about it. I lean toward believing that it's likely a government trick as part of some plan to fake an alien invasion, or even almost like a jump scare. I don't know what it is they would have coming next, but
maybe it's just another social experiment like COVID was.
Well, yeah, but I think if a social experiment, I think it's meant to build up this anxiety in the public, or build up this feeling of something's coming, and then hit us from another direction. So, like, personally, I think that's what they did with Y2K and 9/11. They built up Y2K. Everybody's thinking there's going to be this paradigm or not everybody, but a lot of people thinking there's going to be this paradigm shifting event. It doesn't happen. But then very soon after, you get your paradigm shifting event. It's just not what people were expecting.
Inflation every time.
Inflation.
Yeah. They squeeze us for an extra dime every time they get one of these supposed events.
Yeah. Or, if not, or they launch something else, like maybe they're going to ask for more money for space defense. But for Y2K, we got 9/11 and a bunch of wars in the Middle East. But like, everybody was ready for some paradigm shift. They just didn't get what they.
Well, yeah, you could say that, like, the military defense budget has been increased.
So
for a number of years. Do you really think they're spending all of that on just Earth military?
Probably not.
Maybe they're building an interplanetary defense.
Well, and then there's always the risk that they use. The military and the governments are always going to come up with something that we should be afraid of, so we can give them more money to build more powerful militaries that are for our defense, but I think also for our control. Of making sure that they stay in control. So that was one of the angles I tried to look up. And historically, false alarms like missile scares, major UFO sightings, tech scares do precede or can sometimes precede military actions, global escalations, wars breaking out, alliances, just they can sometimes be cover for other operations that are going on in the world. Which would make sense, if our government, if they've reverse engineered UFO technology, how do you tell the public, especially if you've been doing that for decades? That was one of the things they talked about in that
lie
documentary.
To the public more about it.
But for
you create an event that you can put it on the event instead of saying that you've been doing it for years.
Yeah, you could do a false disclosure. So it's like instead of like, we're going to tell you everything we've been working on for 70 years, you engineer some event and you make it seem like you're figuring it all out on the fly. Look at the ingenuity of mankind. What a hopeful story. This thing happened and we figured everything out in no time.
So I focused some of my research to find out, that's assuming that the comet's not a comet. What are some of the possibilities and dangers to Earth? Also, what are some of political agendas that would become a reality? And then, could aliens already be here on Earth? And this may be a return probe or the possibilities of political agenda nefarious or beneficial to society. So some of what I came up with was Alan von Neumann probe, a self-replicating or scouting probe designed for long-duration travel. The brightening could be a deceleration or course correction maneuver. The fragmentation could be purposeful deployment of sub-probes to survey multiple intersolar system targets, including Earth, Mars, Venus, the Sun. It could just be a starship, a dormant generation or sleeper ship where the breakup represents catastrophic systems failure or after millennia in space, or jettisoning of spent fuel engine sections. It could be a solar system arc, an artificial object designed to enter a long period of solar orbit carrying biological or data-based cargo. Its fragmentation could be a programmed dispersal mechanism. Could be a directed energy weapon, an unnatural object on potential impact trajectory designed to look like a harmless comet until late course change. The fragmentation could create a shotgun-like scatter of kinetic impactors, making interception nearly impossible. Dangers to Earth would be it'd be an immediate kinetic threat, even a fragment the size of a house. Impacting Earth as cometary speeds would release energy equivalent to a large nuclear weapon. A swarm of fragments could cause a Tunguska-like event or worse over wide areas. I'm not sure what Tunguska means.
So there was a meteor or an asteroid that fell in Siberia in the early 1900s, and it left a huge radius. It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off there. That's what the Tunguska event is referencing.
It's the
In
largest
1908.
impact event on Earth recorded in history.
And yeah, nobody, as far as I know, there's not really a lot of reports about seeing the asteroid coming down, but the impact is very well known, and I've always thought it's rather suspicious. You've got this huge area.
Again, they're saying it was an asteroid, but it could have been anything.
It could have been them testing a weapon.
Yeah, it could have been them testing a weapon. It could have been a spaceship that crash landed. It could have been...
What's crazy
Could be
about
any
the
number of things.
Tunguska event is that it supposedly exploded in the sky before it like fully hit down. And you've got this huge radius of trees that are knocked down and everything, but yeah, it supposedly blew up in the sky. And it's been 100 years. Trees don't grow there still. So something odd happened there.
Radiation, maybe, some sort.
Could be.
Well, I don't know. I think plants are pretty resilient. They would grow back after 100 years, even if it was radiation.
Right. In Chernobyl, plants grow there.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
Makes me think it's the technology
Plants
that
and
we don't
wildlife
fully
have already
comprehend.
adapted to the high radiation.
Right.
More dangers to Earth. Intentional targeting. If under intelligent control, its purpose could be a direct confrontation, resource acquisition. For example, harvesting Earth's water or biological matter, or elimination of a potential competitor, meaning humanity. It could be a biological or technical contamination. The fragments could carry alien microbes or self-replicating nanotechnology. The gray goo scenario, I suppose, not meant for Earth's ecosystem. It could be orbital disruption. If the probe or its subprobes decided to occupy key orbital lanes, for example, geostationary orbits, they could disrupt global communication, GPS, surveillance, and giving the controlling intelligence a massive strategic advantage. So, maybe it does another course correction and moves close enough to Earth to disrupt our communications or even our orbital path.
If you take down the satellite networks, you pretty much cripple the world.
Yeah. We're back to ham radius.
Yeah. And the more technology develops, the more dependent we are on it. So it would take nothing to do that. That would be one heck of a Christmas surprise.
Right.
For this to show up and it to be something for it to get closer to Earth and all of a sudden change course, then would definitely capture the news attention. If it changes course and then starts approaching even closer. I've heard some people online speculate that it's an alien probe and it's the Sumerian gods returning, but they sent a probe first to check out our capabilities, to check out our weapon systems and that sort of thing. And that's what, my other big takeaway from watching that new Disclosure movie, which really good, recommend anybody rent it, go watch it, or theaters, wherever you can find it. They talked about why governments around the world need to do disclosure. And the biggest argument they made of why the public needs to be told is, while governments have been studying these things for a little over 70 years, a defining characteristic throughout a lot of these UFO reports is that the UFOs, the UAPs, seem to be incredibly interested in our military sites, not just America's military sites, but military sites around the world. Incredibly interested in our nuclear weapons sites. There's all the reports that anybody who's looked into UFOs have heard of UFOs showing up and deactivating and activating our nukes, seemingly to just show us that they can, But just 70 years worth of hovering around and being around our military sites definitely gives the impression that they might not be looking out for our best interests. So, like, best case scenario, they're an advanced civilization who are worried about us and are just monitoring and watching us so we don't become a threat to them. I think worst case scenario, they're planning an attack and they're probing our military capabilities.
Yeah. Or maybe even both. Maybe this is just the first wave. Well, I want to get into potential political agendas a little bit more, but first, let's talk about our sponsors.
All right, if you're looking for something nice to sip on during this holiday season while hanging out with family and friends and you don't want to drink alcohol, you can check out Goodfields. They have a variety of THC and CBD infused drinks that you can order online, have shipped to your home anywhere in the United States. These drinks are great. They're designed for those seeking a balanced lifestyle, blending seamlessly into social gatherings, relaxing evenings, your holiday family gathering. While everybody else is going to pick up their drink, you can grab you a can of Goodfields and relax sipping on their THC and CBD infused seltzers that are made with high quality, natural ingredients, ensuring an uplifted mood without all the drawbacks of alcohol or traditional THC consumption methods. So check out Goodfields, and when you go to their site, be sure to use our code DTL2025, and that'll get you 20% off, and that'll also helps you support our podcast, gives us a 15% commission on any products you buy. Goodfields is also a great choice for that family member or friend who likes to enjoy THC or CBD, or maybe they just don't drink and they're looking, you want to give them a nice alternative. Perfect choice for a holiday gift, and you can save on that holiday gift by using our code DTL2025 at shop.getgoodfields.com. Once again, that's shop.getgoodfields.com.
Another sponsor is Shimmerwood Beverages. It's a CBD infused seltzer. You can find it at shimmerwood.com. It's an award-winning CBD seltzer combined with full spectrum CBD with all-natural fruit shrubs, delivering a refreshing, stress-relieving drink that eases tension and promotes relaxation. Enjoy an exclusive discount with our promo code DTL2025. You get 30% off, and all of your purchases, we get a 15% commission, which will go straight to the podcast. No middleman. Each can blends locally sourced Maine fruit and cocktail bitters with full spectrum CBD, delivering clean, complex flavors and makes every sip enjoyable and relaxing. With unique options like raz lime, chai cherry, ginger orange, and just hemp, Shimmerwood offers a flavorful, health-conscious alternative to sugary soft drinks or alcohol. Made without added sugars, caffeine, or artificial flavors, these CBD-infused seltzers are designed for anytime enjoyment, whether straight from the can or as a base for a unique mocktail or cocktail. Shimmerwood's commitment to quality and transparency ensures each sip provides a pure, satisfying experience, making it a go-to choice for those seeking a natural, flavorful way to unwind. Prep starts now at prepstartsnow.com. Prep Starts Now. Empower your family with confidence through simple tools and expert guidance. Conquer uncertainty one step at a time. Your discount includes 15% off of any product, also DTL 2025. And all of your purchases, we get a 15% commission, and it goes straight to the podcast again. Prep starts now. They aim to empower families with the information, products, and training needed to confidently face emergencies. Preparedness isn't about fear. It's about knowing you're ready to protect your family. They offer preparedness products, features a selection of essential emergency products and supplies, access to easy follow guides and training on disaster response and first aid. You can stay up to date with expert tips and strategies on emergency preparedness, and you can join a community of like-minded individuals, share experience, and find support. Take action today. The best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is now. Whether it's assembling an emergency kit, learning new survival skills, or connecting with preparedness community, Prep Starts Now is the perfect place to start. Where were we? Oh, okay, so political agendas for 3i Atlas. Let's assume there's two triggering events. Atlas is confirmed as an alien probe, and it's simultaneously revealed that aliens are already here, living covertly among us in proximity to us. It creates a three-layered crisis: external arrival, internal revelation, and pre-existing infiltration. Some of the nefarious or power-consolidating agendas would include a security state lockdown. They would declare a global state of emergency, suspend civil liberties, elections, and free movement, implement total digital and biometric surveillance under the guise of detecting alien filtration. Military-industrial complexes, authoritarian regimes, and hawkish factions would be the ones that would be acting. Their goal would be to use the crisis to create permanent, unassailable executive power, and dissent is framed as aiding as the alien threat. Another interesting point would be scapegoating and new McCarthyism. That agenda would include political opponents, activists, intellectuals, or minority groups are accused of being alien collaborators or hybrids. Conspiracy theories become state-sanctioned tools for purges. Techno-feudalism and resource hoarding. That agenda would include nations of corporate entities to gain access to salvaged Atlas debris or make contact with hidden aliens, create an unbridgeable technological gap. They hoard reverse-engineered tech like energy, propulsion, medicine to create godlike ruling class. That their goal in that would be to create a new world order based on technological caste, where the controlling powers as far ahead of common humanity as are from the Middle Ages.
You know, I've heard it argued, and personally, I think they make a really compelling case that the long-term goal and project of America has been, at least in the minds of various Freemason groups and other societies that have played influential roles in our past, has been to create a new world order based on reason, based on technology, and based on man conquering nature. So I've heard it discussed that like Francis Bacon's book, A New Atlantis, talked about a new nation being formed on the basis of reason and all of that great stuff, and has this whole tale about them running into a city of angels, which has a weird technological implications of just like, well, once if you're in a society where people have conquered nature and have the ability to all the phenomenon that we attribute to nature and things that we cannot do ourselves, if we learn or meet beings that can do that, the most fundamental thing, I think, or the most fundamental change it would give to the world is it will shake the core of almost every religion to its very foundations. Not all of them. I think some religions their theology can better absorb that, like Hinduism, maybe Buddhism, these theologies that don't place humanity at the center or of such an importance on humans as being like, the Christian view is that we're given dominion over this world. We're God's special creation. And that's, for a lot of fundamentalist Christians, that's their view, that we are God's most precious creation. So how do you reconcile that with learning that there's other beings that are not humans that are more intelligent than us? And especially if we find out, if it ends up being that the ship that arrives has any resemblance to anything that's ancient on Earth, that would really shake the religious foundations.
I think you would have to adopt the theory or idea that there isn't one true God, or that there was multiple gods and something else had to create our God.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe our God from Christianity is one of many sons of a greater God. And maybe Allah is one of the other sons from God. And that's how the religions slightly differ.
Then he's not a God at all in that view, because the Christian view of God is not a member of a family of beings. It's the have all be all. But that's why, I think it would if we were to experience something like that, I think we would see new religions emerge. Most of the world religions all kind of emerged around the same time, and they've lasted a pretty good long time. But I think something like that coming along, you'd see like
There'd definitely be some disruption there. Absolutely.
yeah. Well, but maybe some of them could survive it. I've seen scientists talk about for a while that the Catholic Church claims to have irrefutable proof of intelligent life in the universe that they've known about they've claimed to believe in intelligent life in the universe for like almost 100 years. And I mean, who knows what they're sitting on? So
I mean, the Vatican's got all kinds of secrets that
right,
they keep locked up because, I don't know, that would probably make them look fallible or create chaos, or I don't know, maybe. I think there's plenty of different angles as to why it's locked up. But
well, you got all the ancient civilizations who talk about sky gods and people, gods descending from the sky. Or the Vatican probably has a record of past alien interactions.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're not in contact with them still, or have some ability to contact them still.
The Pope is our spokesperson.
Yeah,
Maybe.
could be, very well could be. Like if you have been observing this planet for a really long time, I think, and especially if you come from a civilization that is a lot more stable than ours, you would probably look for continuity as a sign of real leadership, right? And well, that pretty much puts the Pope and royalty at the top of the list of who they're going to want to have their communications with.
That's true. Where was I? Okay, so we did techno-feudalism. Next one was preemptive strike and provocation faction. The agenda would argue that the covert presence proves hostile intent, advocate for massive immediate attack on arriving Atlas probe and any known hidden alien enclaves on Earth. The danger could trigger a full-scale conflict humanity is unprepared for based on fear rather than understanding, which is one of the more scary ones because it's anybody with a gun basically flies off the handle kind of thing.
Right.
And our federal government has some pretty big fucking guns, if you ask me. So, I hope they don't act on the basis of shoot first, ask questions later, but we never know what's going to actually happen there.
If they do that, I would assume, like if an alien ship shows up and the federal government takes the decision to shoot first, then I'm 110% going to believe that it's a fake alien invasion. Because it's like, what sort of idiot? It's like a ship shows up from outside of the solar system. We can't do that. Why would you fire at it?
Well, you would hope that they want some of the technology too, at least.
Right.
Like that's more valuable than.
But the only scenario where I could think they're firing at them to want technology is if they think they could actually take it down. But maybe 70 years of reverse engineering alien technology, maybe they think they can.
Yeah, maybe.
Or, if our government perceives it to be a legitimate threat, like I was saying, for 70 years, these UFOs and things have been focused on our military sites, our nuclear sites. So if they perceive it to be a legitimate threat, slowly developing, maybe they have information we don't know that would lead them to say that they do need to fire first.
Yeah, maybe we know they've got more information than they're telling us. So
If you're going to
maybe
start
that information leads to shoot first.
yeah, well, if you want to start an interstellar war, you better tell us what's going on.
I would hope so.
We're not going to take your word for it on fighting the aliens. You know what I mean? It never works out when you tell us to take your word for it on the humans we need to kill.
So the last of nefarious agendas I found was collaborationist or Quisling governments, Quisling, Quisling. The agenda includes some national leaders might reveal that they have already been in secret contact with the hidden aliens for decades. They would position themselves as necessary intermediaries, selling out human autonomy for promises of power or protection for their citizenry, which I think is probably the most likely outcome of it being real, that they've already got contact, and if there was already aliens here, they've already sold out our autonomy.
That's the Simpsons scenario, right?
To create protection for us and, immunity for whatever future attacks or disagreements they might have.
In the Simpsons scenario, that's exactly what happens is when it's revealed, you find out that the aliens are already in charge. They've already infiltrated us.
They take off their mask and it's that big
green thing.
Green alien.
Yeah. So, kind of along a similar interpretation, if there's alien technology to be reverse engineered, which I think they've already been doing, or more so if there's an alien ship or aliens out there to communicate with, I would think governments and individuals, scientists, astronauts, whoever, mystics, people who are into the like Robert Monroe, the whole astral projection and communicating that way, because they claim to communicate with non-human entities as well. I think there would be a race to interpret and communicate with them, because whoever could make friends with them first, you have the potential of being like Prometheus, Moses, Odin. You could appear like a god amongst men if you can really get an understanding of their capabilities, their technology, their knowledge, and are able to relay even a small part of that to the rest of mankind. You would appear like a god, or at least like a demigod. Like we already elevate the smartest amongst us to near about that level. Look at all the theories out there around Nikola Tesla. Oh, he's a time traveler. He's this, he's that. If you anybody who would be able to master things that are light years beyond the rest of humanity would appear like a god.
Yeah, well, I think Tesla was an alien anyways.
Could have been. He did have a rather big head, didn't he?
Pretty fucking smart guy.
Yeah. And a big head. You ever seen those pictures of him when he's old?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe not when you're younger you don't look like an alien, but by an old man you kind of look like an alien.
So on the lighter side of agendas, I researched some beneficial or progressive agendas as well. The planetary identity movement, leverage a shock for fundamentally reform global governance. The argument, if we are one species facing another, we must become one polity. Push for strengthened democratic united Earth government to handle all xenodiplomacy, which makes sense that it could be beneficial, but I still feel like it would be nefarious if they did do something like that.
Yeah.
The Great Disclosure and Technological Commons would include a global mandate that all recovered alien technology and scientific knowledge be placed under an open source international framework, like a UN-administered humanities inheritance project. Likelihood of that happening is very nil in my eyes. I don't think that they would ever let everybody have all of the knowledge, especially technological advancements from an alien race.
It would be dangerous, right?
Yeah, it would be too dangerous, because you get one guy that has a nefarious agenda,
and he hurts a lot of people.
Cultural and philosophical renaissance. That would be use the revelation to shatter parochial worldviews. I can't say that word. Fund a global project in exoarchaeology, xenolinguistics, and comparative cosmic philosophy, religion, science, and art are challenged to integrate a vast new reality. So yeah, there would be maybe a forward movement if there was an embracing of new aliens. Integration coexistence frameworks If the hidden aliens are benign, establish transparent protocols for integration, grant legal personhood and citizenship rights, create cultural exchange zones, and shared governance models for joint projects. And then you could build a global defense as a public utility, spin off planetary defense from national militaries into a transparent, scientifically driven international agency like Global Coast Guard, focused on protection from asteroids and unknown threats, not terrestrial warfare. So, yeah, I feel like all of those could be definitely beneficial, and I don't feel like they would originate as a purely warm-hearted agenda. That I feel like if they did those, that would be to cover up all of their past digressions and to build this more pure worldview of what actually was going on.
I think the comet definitely, if we take the viewpoint of how ancient civilizations looked at it, no matter what, this signifies some paradigm shift change coming to our world. I would hope it's not neo-feudalism, even though I think a lot of our leaders would like to institute neo-feudalism, because I don't think they viewed the regular people very highly. But man, I just asked ChatGPT to tell me how ancient civilizations viewed comets, and it gave me a list of
10
about
pages of.
Well, it gave me 10 different ones, but I am not. It doesn't seem like any ancient civilization, really viewed them as a sign of good change. So Mesopotamia, typical interpretation, war approaching. If it's a comet, this is assuming it's a comet.
Okay.
A war approaching, death of a king, invasion, divine displeasure. So China, you get sweeping away dynasties, so new dynasty, purifying heaven. Purifying means getting rid of bad things,
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily all good. Warning the emperor to correct his virtue, predicting natural disasters. In Greece, they were exaltations ignited in the upper air. Pythagoreans considered them to be kind of like ships, carried gods or intelligent beings. The Stoics, symbols of cosmic cycles and world fire. They're divine agents. The Egypt viewed it as, more disaster. We got Sekhmet's fiery wrath, Isis's magical signs, and the great celestial war of Horus, constantly fighting the darkness in space. The indigenous Americans linked them to bad omens, drought, war, royal death, harbingers of catastrophe. So connected to Quetzalcoatl's return, the comet of 1509, believed to foretell the Spanish arrival. So they were seen as sky serpents or spirit travelers. Then we got Rome. I did not know this. The most famous one for the Romans was the comet of Julius Caesar. They interpreted it as Caesar's soul rising to meet the gods. But they interpreted comets for...
After he was assassinated?
After he was assassinated. They saw there was a comet. I had no idea that
No.
happened. But they associated comets with regime change, war, or birth of legendary figures. And then medieval Europe, you've got... They linked it to apocalypse, doom. There's a famous event in in medieval Europe surrounding one of the comets. It's like early in the Dark Ages. There was some event that happened where there's just like a major catastrophe that a lot of people saw a comet kind of all over Europe. And I want to say it's close to like when some volcano went off or something like that. I'm going to have to look that up more. Let's see, maybe the comet omen of 1066. Maybe that's the one. And okay, but I'll finish this. The Islamic view, comets warning to unjust rulers, heavenly reminders of humility. To me, I interpret that as a warning. In India, considered omens of upheaval, curses, karmic ripening, but also cosmic rebalancing, harbingers of enlightenment eras. Let's hope for that.
The eclipse demon.
The eclipse demon, yeah.
Rahu, the eclipse demon from India.
That's no good. 10 core patterns, harbingers of disaster, signs of divine communication, markers of epic shifts, so end or beginning of an age, agents of cleansing or judgment, symbols of rebirth or transformation. I want to hear more about this medieval comet because I'm forgetting the details, but I just know it seemed to be seen by a lot of people and was around the time of a disaster. I was looking up more about Tartaria, trying to go an angle on that, and that's where I came across this.
Huh.
because it was people making the case that the real collapse was sometime in the Dark Ages, and that they did mess with the time, setting things as like starting the calendar at the year 1000. But the case they made is that they did it for more theological reasons to set it at 1000, because biblically, there's supposed to be this little season of Satan where the devil is released to do bad, and then you have the final battle and everything. So they made the case that Charlemagne and the church leaders saw whatever disaster had happened as that was that final battle. And so they were trying to make the theological case that they were entering the enlightened age of Christ's rule to start things in the year 1000. But let's see if this is the one.
I don't know if it's Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet's the recurring one.
Right. Okay, so I was trying to find the comet closest to right before the year 1000, because that would be the one that would match with the story I heard. And so this is the one that seems to match it the most, the Great Comet of 975 through 979 of the Common Era. So the date is depending on who's telling the story. But it was recorded in England, in Germany, Bavaria, East Francia, which would have been part of like modern day Germany, Italy, and even in Byzantine sources. So it was seen as a harbinger of death, famine, political turmoil. But let's see what happened following it. So you just looks like mostly just political turmoil, famine, change of kings, and then I guess the other ones around that are Halley's Comet. Man, Halley's Comet just comes around every once in a while, so does it really deserve to get credit for everything that happens every time it comes around?
I don't know, maybe.
The best case I ever heard of Halley's Comet getting credit for something is, what's that Arthur? The author 1800s author, Mark Twain. That he supposedly came and went with the comet. He was born on the day Halley's Comet passed by and died on the day that it came by again.
Yeah. Maybe that was him.
Yeah, he left. There's a whole Star Trek episode where they pick him up, and that's why he leaves with the comet. He gets to go go get to live in space.
Sounds more like Hale Bop.
Yeah, pretty cool though. Let's see. So, Great Comet, the Comet of 837, Halley's most dramatic medieval appearance. So the comet was so bright, its two tails frightening. Viking expansions and invasions, Charlemagne's empire collapses. From what I've read, 3i Atlas, when it gets its closest to us, it's not supposed to be visible from the naked eye, just visible with a telescope. But how cool would it be if it ends up being visible to the naked eye unexpectedly, like if it changes its course?
Yeah, or just brightens up.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And we need some sort of shift to happen. So please let it be the aliens. Come on down and land. And
yeah, I don't think I would mind so much.
None of us would.
Give the government something else to focus on than our disparity.
And this is the third one, so I feel like that's significant. So we'll see if we get a. This time last year, there was UFO craze too, but last year it was the orbs, the drones. That was all happening around this time last year, leading up to its like crescendo right around January.
Those orbs. That's another topic for another day, I think, but they're pretty interesting.
Yeah. Wonder if we'll get something like that again, because that all kind of got like brushed under the rug. They told us that, it was, and I'm sure some of the stuff there in the sky was ours, but they said, it was ours. It was just drones. But there were two different things in the sky. There were the orbs first, and then people started seeing the strange drones. And some of the drones were technology that I'm sure we do have, tech that they haven't showed people, but drones traveling at incredibly fast speeds and some of them coming out of the water.
Yeah. All right, so after doing a week's worth of editing on this episode, I stumbled across something about the 3i Atlas that was really interesting. This visualization that I want to show you is a visualization of 3i Atlas as it moves through our solar system. And I thought was very interesting because everybody's talking about how close it comes to Earth,
Right.
which is most important, I suppose. But how close it actually travels to Mars in this animation is
Like right by Mars.
looks like a close flyby.
Yeah.
Like you'd be able to see it out the window. And then it also intersects with Jupiter on the way out of our solar system as well. So if you keep watching this visualization, it does a couple of perspectives. And like this one I found really interesting because it looks like it almost enters Mars's gravitational pull. Which maybe it was the sun that was pulling on it. I don't know. But it definitely changes course as soon as it turns past Mars. And supposedly it's already past Mars. Like it's already done this flyby. Supposedly that was in October of 2025. And it's not going to reach Jupiter until March or May of 2026, I believe. I've got another website that's 3iatlas.net that I'm going to show you too. It was very interesting. They have a little more detail to it.
So Earth's gravity will, according to science, extends out roughly almost 1 million miles, 930,000 miles. And now this is just according to NASA. 3I Atlas at its closest in October, passing by Mars, at its closest point to Mars, it was roughly 19 million miles away, which, from the graphic, that's sure. 19 million miles looks awful close, from this graphic at least. I wonder, I'm curious.
It doesn't look like it comes very close. And 3i-atlas.net/orbit has a very detailed rendition where you can manipulate time controls, and Mars' closest approach is what we're looking at now. Doesn't seem very close in that animation, but
Now what's interesting about the stats that they say, though, so after looking that up, I just looked to see how far will 3I Atlas be from Earth at its closest. At its closest, it's supposed to be 170 million miles. So if, like, from that last graphic, who knows what their scale is, but...
So you said to Mars it was 19 million, and to Earth it's 170 million?
Yeah.
So it's about 100 times difference?
100 times it. But would you say the difference, even to scale, is 100 times difference even in closeness?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's what if this whole thing has been a misdirection where they want us worried about it coming to Earth and it was heading somewhere else?
It was heading to Mars the entire time.
Yeah.
Jupiter's closest approach. It shows March 12th, 2026, as it passes Jupiter's orbit. I think it's all very interesting. Just something that I thought we should talk about. And, I'm sure you have plenty of theories and perspectives to share with us.
Well, I think the theory that I like thinking about the most when it comes to it is, would 3I Atlas or something like it play any role in disclosure, which has been a big theme of the last few years. We've had, the people like Luis Elizondo, I hope I'm not saying his name wrong, and the other big notable people who've come out in front of Congress and the nation and in trying to get things released. And one interesting thing I've heard from a lot of the UFO investigator people over the last several years is I've heard a lot of them say kind of a similar thing, not always the exact same way, but kind of seeming to insinuate that ETs or aliens, non-human intelligence, has decided or dictated to our leaders, or maybe not dictated to them, but more so informed them that disclosure has to happen by some date because there's some future event coming that it will make knowledge of non-human intelligence undeniable.
Right.
And so that they know they can't stop this event. So instead they're now working hard to all you can try to do is control the public's perception of the event, how the public reacts to the event. And if that, it makes me wonder, what would that event be? The scenario that in my mind that makes the most sense is like, hey, if there's different factions of ETs, different factions of non-human intelligence working or interacting with humans and has been throughout time interacting with humans, I would imagine there's got to be a faction or maybe multiple factions that world leaders are in bed with in the proverbial sense, and probably factions who are opposed to them. And what if, through some way or another, we are caught up in an interstellar war? If war was coming to our little portion of the galaxy, that would be an event that would be undeniable in our skies.
Yeah.
And the only reason I even try to think of like, well, what would be some event that would come that would be on something that they can't hide? Because I of course start from the point of, if there are aliens that have been here interacting with humanity for a long time, it seems obvious that their policy, in at least for the last several centuries, has been one of secrecy and one of keeping themselves hidden. So why the change now? And does the change represent multiple factions of ETs, and or does it represent a different direction from the dominant faction that's been here for a long time? So, and like even the 3I Atlas, if 3I Atlas isn't just a comet, if it's an artificial construct, something made by an intelligence, human or non-human, was it created by the people who are in charge in our neighborhood?
Who's in charge in our neighborhood?
I don't know. I don't know. But I would imagine if humans
what does the neighborhood mean? Solar system?
Yeah, our solar system, our little corner of the galaxy. Assuming there's life throughout the universe and other planets and other places, intelligent life, by the axiom as above, so below, just like here we have nations and different factions and alliances and that sort of thing. I would imagine they would have the same thing. Why not? If you have different consciousness interacting with one another, they're going to have conflict. And yeah, it's if 3I Atlas is an artificial construct, the first question that really, in my mind, would be relevant would be, well, who made it? Is it from friend or foe? Or is because if the people in charge of our planet have for near more than 1,000 years wanted to keep knowledge of aliens suppressed, I just wonder if what has changed now? Are the same people still in charge, or are we rebelling against those who wanted to keep it suppressed?
Yeah.
So I used to, when thinking about aliens, or if our government were to ever come out and be like, we're working with these aliens, and I think I've said it in past episodes, I would assume the aliens are demons or something like that. That because our leaders don't seem to be good, I would assume that whoever they're working with isn't good. But lately, when thinking about it, I've kind of taken the approach of, well, just the same way we think of how humans can blackmail other humans and threaten them or anything like that, who's to say aliens couldn't do the same thing, and that our leaders might not be pulled between different factions with them? So kind of going off of that, just back to focus on 3I Atlas, as it's been getting closer and closer to us this week, the latest news of a big change I've seen in it is that it has changed from, it started to glow green. So it's changed colors from red to green. According to the scientists, that's just from it releasing icy molecules off its surface, making it glow green. And so as it gets closer to the sun, it's doing this. But didn't it already go right by the sun?
Yeah, it's already made its closest approach to the sun.
And it didn't turn green before.
Like in October, when it passed Mars, that was its closest approach to the sun, I believe. Now it's starting to move away from the sun.
Let's see. How would the scientists at ChatGPT explain why that is?
The scientists at ChatGPT.
Yeah. So the green coloration typically comes from carbon or cyanogen glowing when energized. So the surface crust insulation, the comet, like many bodies, may develop a crust. So they're saying, oh, just a layer has broken off. What does... Earlier, when just playing around with ChatGPT and saying, hey, it changed colors, what could that mean? An interesting angle it threw out there is that, at least in Hollywood and in storytelling, when it comes to human narratives, color is associated with emotion and feeling. So a color change could represent some, them trying to convey a certain feeling to us.
Yeah, I mean, it could be from different ancient cultures. It could convey a different type of omen as well.
Right.
Since all the ancient cultures were bad news when the comet shows up.
Well, but sometimes good news. Rarely, but there was times where a comet could be an omen of good, but most of the time doom. So green, yeah, and that fits with
So
ours.
it went from green to red, you said?
It went from red to green.
Red to green.
At least, I mean, the basic things we associated with it were traffic lights. Red means stop, green means go. And yeah, even ChatGPT is green associated with active nominal operation within parameters. So if it's artificial, green could mean its power systems are engaged, its sensors are online, that it's and that's how we use electronics. Green means active.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I guess, except for cameras. Red means record.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It could be anything. If it was a completely different culture, it could be anything.
I hope 3i Atlas is part of.
It could be just the rear end of the vehicle that we see now.
It's coming to us still, right?
Well, in the animation, it shows that it's like approaching its past, but it never really actually directly.
So it's more like the Earth is
us.
going toward it right now as it's on its path.
Yeah, kind of. I'll show you.
I hope it's part of some disclosure. And that was one of the kind of the pathways I played with ChatGPT talking about, of saying, hey, if this was part of a planned disclosure project. So yeah, it's coming.
We're on the other side of the sun right now as it's passing through the solar system. Which is what I thought was interesting. There's all kinds of other planets in the sun in between us and the comet as it passes through the solar system.
And if it didn't do that bend when it approached the sun the first time,
Here's the bend.
slight angle change, and when it looks like it's like right in the gravity well of Jupiter on its initial pass. Why is Jupiter there in the last one?
What do you mean?
In the last animation, it showed Jupiter.
See, that's about right there. That was the peak of proximity there.
Yeah. Anyway, we're kind of on the opposite side of the sun right then. See right here.
Yeah, it shows different perspectives.
Yeah, that's all was throwing me off. It's just more zoomed out. But so one of the pathways I figured I went down playing with ChatGPT to explore is, hey, what if 3i Atlas, and 3i Atlas is the third rock like this that they had a big fuss about. First there was Umamu or Umama, how do you say it?
Something like that. I don't know how to say it either.
Yeah. And
Uamamu.
and another one that I can't think of the name of, but this is the third one. And each one of them have come with a lot of fanfare. We get a whole lot of reports from NASA, a lot of crazy images, and just a lot of hype. So, kind of based off what I've heard a lot of those UFO investigators say of, hey, there's the aliens have basically told us there's some event coming, and that disclosure has to happen because when this future event comes, it'll be undeniable and everyone will know then. So better to make sure that's not the first time people are acquainted with this.
Right.
And I essentially asked ChatGPT of like, hey, if this was part of a planned disclosure project, what would the angle be, and what would the possible future events be that, the future undeniable events? And the big one that it mentioned is like, hey, we could be caught up in some sort of ET war, a galactic war, that even if the advanced non-humans want to take the approach of like Earth is like a zoo or a protected area because we're not as an advanced species, even if they had benevolent intentions like that, if war was coming, what do you do in that situation? You've got to let them know that, hey, you're going to see some things. Don't think you're getting invaded.
One of my theories is that since the proximity of it coming close to Earth isn't even as extreme as coming to Mars, since it comes so close to Mars, maybe the last time this civilization visited our solar system, Mars was
Inhabited.
well inhabited. Or maybe it's still inhabited and we just don't know. Maybe they went underground because they lost all their atmosphere or any number of reasons. But last time when they were here, they had friends on Mars or enemies on Mars potentially. And then it's just passing through to check up on things or check on the zoo or to do reconnaissance. And then it passes incredibly close to Jupiter too. Maybe Jupiter's like a fueling station for them.
Well,
This
see,
giant gaseous liquid planet where they could just harvest some of the resources there and use it for their interstellar travel.
for gas giant, I could see it because you wouldn't even, potentially,
just-
I could say you don't have to stop. You just,
You just grab it on the way,
Yeah.
grab and go.
But an interesting thing for what you said of, hey, maybe the last time they were here, Mars was inhabited. If this is, and this is, some of the Harvard scientists have suggested this as well. If 3I Atlas is an artificial construct and a probe or a surveillance drone, if you will, of some sort, it would be one designed to surveil a less advanced species. It's definitely, like, if that's what it is, it's definitely not designed to surveil other advanced spacefaring civilizations, because we're not spacefaring and it's on our radar. Well, we've noticed the anomalies with it. So if it is some sort of surveillance drone or craft where they're trying to gather intelligence, what stands out to me in that is that they're trying to gather intelligence on beings less advanced than them, but still trying to conceal the fact that it's not that it's an artificial structure.
Right.
You know?
What would it look like if it was a probe to surveil a similarly advanced civilization?
Well, for one, I would think.
Would it just show up and say hi?
Well, no, I mean the big difference.
It
I would
wouldn't
say
conceal its identity.
it wouldn't go as slow. I would think, for one, because I
It'd
think
just
about
be in and out.
Yeah, well, I would think, and like think of the craft that we see here on Earth. Like we've got stories of them activating and deactivating our nukes. They can pivot on a dime and take
Yeah.
off at crazy speeds. So, but then with this 3I Atlas, it's moving at fast speeds, but relatively normal speeds for if it was a comet. So it's doing everything to give the appearance that it is a natural object. So if it's not a natural object, I don't think it would be doing a very good job of tricking other spacefaring civilizations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that raises a lot of questions right there. If you go from the foundation of saying, hey, this is an artificial construct, why would they want surveillance on a less advanced species? Or is it to figure out how advanced we are? If you're maybe prepping for an invasion, prepping for war, you want to figure out, how strong is the enemy? How easily will it be to overtake them? How advanced are they really? Especially if it's aliens that have a history with us. If they've been here before, like, well, how far along have they made it this time? Before they come back. And then another interesting perspective they put on it, not so dark, but still one where aliens are trying to surveil and conceal themselves to less advanced species, is the hypothesis of humanity has matured and we're finally approaching interstellar capabilities. So other civilizations would want to, show up and say, hey, guys, here's the rules. Here's the rules for the neighborhood. Here's the boundaries. Here's the ethics and the legal framework for how everything works here.
Huh.
So
A mentor?
but not necessarily mentor, but that's why, I play a game.
Interstellar mentor.
Is not so much mentor of telling people who's boss, essentially. So I play a game called Stellaris on the computer, where the game's a nation building game, except for set in space.
We talked about this, and it's like you don't pay any attention to anybody that doesn't have interstellar travel just yet.
You do, but you just use them. They're
You just
essentially
use them as a resource.
they're a research lab. They're a research
lab. Yeah.
If you reveal yourself to them, then they have no research. There's no value to be gained from research and studying them. But before you reveal yourself to them, just studying them, there's plenty of research to gain. And once they finally do reach their interstellar capabilities, let's say their world exists in the center of your empire. Their home world revolves around a star that you and your people consider within your borders. Just because they have interstellar travel, they might think they are autonomous, or they have
Yeah.
some right to the space around them.
We're on their property, and
So yeah, it could be as simple as the Galactic Federation coming in to say, here's the rules. Now that you guys are really close to getting the technology to leave this place, we owe you at least telling you the rules, so you don't have to. So you don't. If you do break them, we can hold you accountable.
yeah.
You know.
Well, that's heartwarming.
Well, better than them approaching for an invasion. I'm not saying we have to be in someone else's space. We could be in our own space, but still,
Yeah.
them showing up to say, "Hey, here's the rules of how things work."
That's a kind thought that other beings act with logic.
Right. Well, I would hope if they're at that advanced, they would. So, other from ChatGPT coming up with other potential events that would, undeniable events that would force disclosure: an arrival or a departure. So if somebody's coming back or somebody's got to leave, a large-scale astronomical interaction, technological intervention, a planetary defense scenario. And it's like, for that one, I imagine war or natural. Like, what if there's some natural disaster coming that they're like, we're going to save you, we're going to come down and help.
Then it's like an arc or
Like this
research vessel to, okay, well, this is what it looks like. See the layout.
Oh, and the story of
We'll
Noah's
be here
Ark.
before fucking shit hits the fan.
Yeah, and like the story of Noah's Ark. If you give that one a alien spin, it's like he was warned that a disaster was coming. It's like it could have just been another intelligent being with the ability to predict the forecasts of what was on the way. You know, so pretty much lays out as say ETs may not fear humanity, but they might fear our reaction to surprise. So secrecy plus some sudden undeniable event equals chaos.
Yeah, I fear humanity's reaction to surprise.
Right?
Generally not good.
Not good most of the time. So personally, I like the idea of imagining, humanity has reached the technological threshold and the Galactic Federation is going to welcome us in a community of galactic nations. But deep down, something tells me that's much too rosy of a view to probably be reality. That it's probably a little bit more messy than that, So, but the big day is this Thursday.
Friday the 19th.
Okay, is it like early in Friday or something? Because I thought it was.
I don't know. It's Thursday. It says December 19th.
When will December 19th. So right before Christmas, and the big tale will be: does it do anything else? I tell you though, I'd be willing to throw this in our list of predictions before another 3 years passes, or between now and 2030. I just know we're gonna get another one, another Umamu or 3i Atlas like craft that enters the solar system, does odd things, and makes us think, what if it's a ship? And maybe
When?
I'm saying between now and 2030, I think it's gonna. Like we've already had 3 between now and COVID. So in 5 years, there's been 3 of them.
Oh.
And what if that's how they plan on doing disclosure? It's just going to be another 3i Atlas and another one, and they'll be more and more
4i
frequent.
Atlas, 5i Atlas.
Yeah, and make them more and more frequent, and have them continue to report nuances that make it obvious that it's not just a comet, and of just a slow drip of, until eventually these things are in the sky and everybody knows exactly what it is. As we were kind of saying right before we started recording though, don't you think it's got to be a little bit more than them just telling us that, there's aliens and other intelligent life in the galaxy? Because I just feel like that part people could cope with. I feel like that part people already sort of believe.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of shared belief that there's already other intelligence.
Right. So what do you think?
What's the greater disclosure?
Yeah.
That they've already been doing all this shit under the table for a long fucking time.
But even that, I don't see how that would threaten global stability. You know, I feel like there's got to be some piece of it that they feel like, oh, if the people knew this, it all breaks.
I don't know. Maybe it's partly like you talked about religion falling apart.
Could be. Well, remember the thing.
Sanctions of, I don't know.
Well, kind of going back to something we talked about before, and I'm going to tie in a couple of things here. But if there were other advanced species out there that have developed on their own world, and they are advancing with material sciences further than us, but also advanced when it comes to knowledge of consciousness. You know that one thing Bob Lazar, the famous, guy.
The guy that discovered the element for time travel?
Yeah, yep. And supposedly the element that they use to power the UFO crafts. One of the things he said is that the aliens see us as containers. And when I first heard that, first time I ever, come across anything about Bob Lazar, I kind of saw that as really negative and saw that as, oh, if they see us as containers, they're harvesting something from us, yada, yada, yada. But now, looking at it through a different lens, I'm saying, well, what if that whole statement from him, they see us as containers, is just indicating that the aliens have a deeper knowledge of consciousness? Because religion, the Christian religion teaches that my body is a container. It's just a shell for the spirit. So what if that is what they meant by, you're just a container? And if they, I'm imagining an alien species out there that exists in a world with technology almost like on that Netflix show, if you're familiar, Altered Carbon.
Yeah, I saw that whole show. It was great.
Yeah, so like imagine
where you could transfer your consciousness to a different shell or a different container.
And if the body is just a container, then theoretically, somewhere out there in the universe, there should be beings who have figured out
to exist without containers,
or how to move
from container to container.
Some of the stuff that we find in ancient Egypt, it seems like at least in their religious practices, they believed they could do that. They could bring back the pharaoh. So it's like, well, if I think that's probably the part that would break humanity, if or would break our society down, that we would have to be slowly introduced to.
Couldn't die per se.
To break our view of death.
Yeah, your immortality relies upon finding your next container.
Yes, and if they exist in a civilization where they have that altered carbon style technology, where they can literally just shift bodies from one to another, that would be the kind of world shaking development that I think would actually threaten society. If you came to people and told them that, like, hey, here's legit proof. You don't have to be afraid about dying.
You don't have to fix your diabetes anymore. You just have to transfer your consciousness to a body that doesn't have diabetes.
Yeah, and hey, after you die...
no more health care needed, no more insurance needed, really, until they came up with insurance for your new shell or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
They'd figure out how to enslave us one way or another.
I don't think they would just roll out shells to us first. I feel like what would come first is the knowledge that's already told to us through religions. It's already said that, like, hey, this life is not all that there is. Your soul goes on after this. But the big difference I would see is right now every major religion on earth teaches that when your soul leaves the body, no matter where you're going, whether you're going to be reincarnated, whether you're going to heaven, whether you're going to hell, every religion teaches that part of the journey, when your soul leaves the body, is you're not the captain, essentially. Like if you're going to be okay, you got bad karmic debt, and now you're going to be reincarnated as a cockroach. Well, in that worldview, you didn't choose to be a cockroach. This was done to you as part of, like, all right, where the higher beings are now deciding your next fate.
Yeah.
If we're wrong on that, if all of our religions are wrong on that, if when your soul leaves this body, you are still autonomous, that would change everything. And if there's other conscious beings in the galaxy or in the universe that are aware of this, then just like in life, we can be lied to and manipulated. Who's to say that in death and whatever our soul is doing right after we die, are there conscious beings out there lying and manipulating and tricking us? And even then,
That's an interesting thought.
So we'll see on Thursday if we get other big news for this. But yeah,
The day before,
yeah. Well, I would imagine
the
that was
night of.
that's when they would tell us if anything else big happened with it. Don't miss it. So yeah, they're saying don't miss it. It's gonna have its closest pass on December 19th, and it will be. Let's see, scientists blah blah blah. Friday, it should be visible on Friday with ground-based telescopes.
Where's your telescope going to be?
I need to. Mine is sitting in storage. I need to get it out of there.
Says 11 p.m. Eastern time on December 18th.
Okay, so early morning hours.
Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So would it be 9 p.m. Mountain?
Yeah.
9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on December 18th. It will be closest to Earth. Visible with telescopes. I believe, last I heard, it was an 8-inch aperture is needed to be able to see it with a telescope.
That's the
size of the lens.
Okay. So then, yeah, I should be able to. Mine's big enough to see that.
So it's about the size of your head.
Okay, well, no, mine might be not big enough to see that one. So mine is
It's
slightly,
like one of the ones that sits all the way on the ground kind of thing.
You know, I really do hope this is not just a comet. I hope it's part of some. I don't care if it's for an interstellar war or if it's just because they want us to know, and because we've finally reached the advanced point that we're being welcomed to the Galactic Federation. Either scenario, I welcome a future where our life is more exciting than. It's just you humans stuck with your corrupt politicians. You know what I mean? It's got to be more than this. It's got to be more than that. So personally, my money's on this is part of a slow disclosure where they're going to normalize these craft being seen in our skies and in our solar system, whether we'll just keep getting more and more stories of 4-eye Atlas, 5-eye, they'll have different names, but there'll be more and more anomalies with them until a majority of the public accepts that not only could it be an alien ship, but that this is a craft being piloted somewhere in our skies.
Yeah. Well, let's end it with, I don't know. We haven't done predictions in a while. So I think the last time we talked about it was equinox-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Surge in occult interest as rare planetary alignment occurs. October 13th, another mass extinction warning from UN scientists. Yeah, we talked about that. October 31st, Samhain. Viral footage shows ghost on live TV broadcast. I don't know that happened.
I didn't see nothing for that. Oh, dang it. I don't know.
Your computer's about to take off.
No.
It heard the alien calling. It's ready to go back to its mothership. I don't see anything that happened on Samhain.
Echoing bird patterns that will be coming up. Thousands of bird vanished midair. Last couple years, we've had all the birds. Like, I haven't seen any of those stories recently, but I've the last few years we would see the stories of like mass amounts of birds or fish coming up dead. Birds began migrating in bizarre circular and spiral patterns above internet and data centers. And then what else do we have coming up? Satellite weather feeds show echoing the bird patterns.
Yeah, all of December shows a bunch of bird stuff. Birds begin migrating in bizarre circular spiral patterns above internet and data centers. Thousands of birds vanish midair during solar storm surge, GPS flickers, web speed throttles. Satellite weather feeds show echoing the bird patterns. Classified files leak that they were warned in 2009. The whole flocks fly straight into oceans in synchronized descent. And then massive celestial anomaly appears described as a rift or hole in space. Maybe that could happen. November, we didn't even talk about. Anonymous style cyber group hacks global banking system, erases millions of debts. If it happened, I don't think they released it on the internet because I don't remember anything.
Everybody would be overjoyed if they would,
that'd be great.
Yeah, have somebody hack and release a bunch of debts. That would be incredible.
Genetic experiment announced that it successfully grows a synthetic consciousness in lab. That would be interesting. I did see recently there was biological robots being developed. So you take a heart and connect it to basically a battery, and it's living tissue, and it's got like a little magnetic connector that would transfer the electricity from the source. And you click that together, and then you click a set of lungs, which is also biological tissue, all of it's biological tissue, and you click that to the heart, and then you can. I think it was basically like a chicken body that they
Reanimated?
bioengineered somehow. But then you had arms and legs to the thing, and it started moving around on the table. It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. But the heart was beating, the lungs were pumping, and then the arms are moving, and then it was interesting.
Yeah, that's
And
very creepy.
Interchangeable parts too.
Very creepy. I don't like the sound of that at all. But they're all trying to do all. I think the first life we're going to end up making is we're going to take a piece of us to build it from, like the things where they're doing where they take a small piece of human brain to power a machine.
Okay.
I feel like if we are able to create life or consciousness, that's how it would have to be. We'd have to almost like biblically, we give a piece of ourselves to be its seed. Let's see. I unfortunately think the big events that we have coming are more and more war. I bet we'll see more war in the Middle East. I bet we'll see more war in Ukraine and more cyber attacks. That would be what I would be confident in saying that we're going to see coming in the next few months. I say with
I was
that
looking to see if The Simpsons predicted anything, but
for coming up.
yeah, they just say economic crisis, technology malfunctions, Mars colonization, internet failures, which they actually did predict in January of 2025.
Well, and I think we're going to see a lot of that because of AI, because of the strain that AI is placing on the internet infrastructure.
Yeah.
So
That and the energy crisis it's creating too.
yeah,
They claimed scarcity of energy before that, which I didn't entirely believe. But now that AI is more prominent,
it's using it all up.
it's using way more energy than we ever expected. And it's just,
Expediting the already existing crisis.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, Denver Theory Lab. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can make donations at PayPal at Denver Theory Lab. Send us any questions, comments to denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Till next time.
Till next time, and be on the lookout for that alien spaceship / comet.
It's a spaceship, for sure.